Good day, YouTube. So we're back today, another episode, and we're going to be doing we're not going to be doing, I'm going to be showing you what I've done, because it came on Friday, it's Sunday again. I didn't intend to have time on Friday, but I had a couple of hours, so I've done the wastegate. It's very close to the headers here, but I'll show you in a minute. It's all in and plumbed up. So the exhaust's now complete. I'm going to take it back with me to the other side of the country through the week, so I can heat wrap it and bits and bobs. I might put little shots in. But today's task is now going to be, I had a bit of a brainwave, and I need to mount the oil cooler still. So I'll bring you in a minute, but the oil cooler sandwich plate's in place with the oil filter on under here, and it's got two outlets that come out. And originally my oil cooler was here, but as you'll know, we've moved the radiator forward, and I need to put a radiator fan in the back of here, on the back of the radiator, and it's too tight. Well, it's not too tight. We could put a fan, a smaller fan, and then still put the oil cooler in, but I just think there's too much heat in this area. There's too many heat exchange, too many of them going on, you know what I mean? Intercooler, radiator, there's another heat exchanger there with the oil cooler. So I'd rather put a large fan, like a 10-inch fan, 10 or 12, whatever I can fit in there, a spout. I'm going to put a spout in, but that's for another video. So fan in there, behind on the back of the radiator as a pull. So that leaves me with, I'm a bit stuck as to where to put the oil cooler. So I was thinking, do we butcher up the front bumper and put the oil cooler here, vertical, shorten the pipework length up, but I've thought, no, I'm going to use my original pipework that I've got, and I'm going to go on the top. I'm inspired by one of my mate's cars, Carl Walker. He's got his up there. It's a little bit smaller oil cooler, but it's right in the bonnet scoop. And then also, loads of people ask me, but they're like, why have you still got the standard bonnet scoop? It needs to be reversed, to let the heat out, rather than, it's knackering stuff up a bit, which is a fair point, but I like the look of it, and I like the look of it when from in the driver's seat, and just it makes it look more aggressive walking up to the car. So that's why I've got the scoop on at the minute. But if I put the oil cooler up there, it's going to be like, oh, I've got it up there for the oil cooler, really, but really it's just because I like the look of it. But yeah. So I'll bring you in a little bit closer and show you what I've done with this wastegate pipe. It's got to be recirculated, unfortunately, for time attack regs. They won't let it go to the ground. It would have been much easier, but it is what it is. Still waiting on the pipes from APB. He's been flat out, busy, which is always a good thing. But yeah, he's been busy, so there's been a bit of a delay with the pipes. But they should be here this coming week now, and then we can get it, because that's all we're really waiting for now to build the front end back up. Well, I'm not going to go through it all again, but you know what I mean. There's other bits and bobs that I'm going to do today. We've had 2 seconds, and I'll show you a couple of deliveries we've had. We love a good delivery. It's like Christmas. So there's only one bag in there. So we've had, this is from ICP, I think. Yeah, it is. So they've got their own brand, I think it's their own brand. It's Fuji Motorsport. They do loads of different bits and bobs, but it's an extension line. I've got about 4 of them, but this one, I forgot to get Aaron at APB, because he would normally make these up. I forgot to ask him. So I just thought, it comes with all the bits. I'll order it from Fuji. I'll put a thing in the screen up here like I usually do, but it's 1/8 BSP, so that's British Standard Pipe Thread, which is the standard adapter that goes in the block underneath the alternator just there. And then it goes to 1/8 MPT, and then 1/8 MPT onto this little block adapter here, which is like I don't need to get it. Well, I'll tell you what, I will get it. there. That's what it is. You can see, just like a little billet, little bit of billet aluminium little adapter. So that means I can put. I'll be fitting this today. It's going on. That one goes onto there. Your standard oil pressure sensor goes into the top, so that must be BSP thread. And then, you know, the one that does your oil light on the dash. And then this one's having a digital oil pressure sensor going to the ECU now, which we didn't have last year. So yeah, that's going on. Then, in addition to that, I've actually got a gasket for the, just not any special gasket, just a standard one of them crappy gaskets, you know, to go on the back part of the exhaust system. You'll know what I mean from the last video, but that's that. Then we've just ordered this from Torx. We've got a little AN4 inline adapter. So I'll just bring it in a bit closer. It doesn't have Torx. Oh yeah, it does have Torx written on it. Most stuff's got Torx written on it from Torx, would you believe? But anyway, it's AN4 and then AN4, and it's got two 1/8 MPT ports on it. So what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to put it in line with the gauge that goes to the dash in the car. I've got an AN4 line that comes off the back of the AccuSum, reads the air pressure side on the AccuSum, and it goes to the gauge in the car. So currently, all I'm doing for monitoring wise is looking at the GoPro footage, which is, if you remember back to Brands Hatch, which is what actually allowed me to go back out on track. So now, because we've got some spare inputs freed up in the dash for logging, separate to the ECU, we've used all my inputs in the ECU, I'm going to now log with a digital pressure gauge the AccuSum to see what it's doing versus engine oil pressure going into the ECU, which will be logged. So I just thought a £5 little part and a pressure sensor, it's worthwhile having it, worthwhile getting as much data as we can. Free data really, but yeah, that's about it I think for deliveries. I've ordered a few other bits, a double fuel cradle. I've got another fuel pump in there ready to go in. Yeah, underneath we've only got a single fuel pump at the minute, so I've just ordered like a manifold, you know, a two into one manifold. So it's AN10, well it's M18 by 1.5 input into like a, I'll put a picture in the screen, but into a manifold. Then it's going into the bottom of both pumps, a clamp, and then on the other side it's got an AN8 feed out to my AN8 line going through. And then last two bits, I've ordered another fuel filler because I haven't had a fuel filler for a year, just generic Bosch unit, them ones from Torx about that big. And I didn't get it from Torx, so I got it from OP Oils because I'm sponsored by OP Oils, so I get a little bit of discount. So yeah, the one that's on there currently has got an AN6 outlet in it, coming out to the fuel rails. So AN6 to AN6 Y splitter to AN6 to both rails. So now it needs to be AN8 because I've got AN8 going to the back of the filter, obviously fed from the pumps. So it needs to be, that little short bit of pipe there was still AN6, which probably won't cause me an issue, but it is a restriction. So we've swapped it to AN8, and then we swapped the Y splitter to an AN8 to two AN6s, and then we're all right from there on out. AN6 back to the tank because that's fine. But yeah, we'll go in now and we'll start fabricating for the oil pump bracket. I wanted to quickly actually show you what I've got to do that. Yeah, I've been down to good old pals at B&Q. Oh, that was the oil cooler extension line. It's probably all scratched. Oh well. So we've just got some nice lightweight aluminium tube. I think it's 1.2 mil wall, 1.5 maybe. I might say on here, 1.2. 20 mil diameter by 1.2 mil wall, and then some 3 mil. What's that? 50 mil. 50 mil. So it's 2 inch by 3 mil thick. So that's going to go. Have I got an oil cooler? I have got an oil cooler. 1 minute. I have got an oil cooler. I've got about 5. No, not that many, but I've got 2 oil coolers from last season. But so we just got this same unit going in again. So it's going to have, coming off the inlet manifold, there is a kit out there, I'll put it in the screen, this is where I've got more inspiration from. Going to come like that sort of fashion, do you know, off the inlet manifold, and then it'll have an upright, and then I'll weld a washer on the bottom and go down, get the idea. But, 2 secs. This flat bar, I'm just going to bend 90 degrees at the top, and it's going to sit in there like that, and then it's going to come out that way. So it's going to be like that, and then like that. Nicely slip in there, drill 4 holes, put the bolts through, obviously swap these for titanium, because it's lighter. And then we're going to be welding straight onto the face of there with that bit that I've just shown you, which is going to go down and then to the inner manifold. So, and it's going to be upside down like that. These feeds are going to be, we'll see when we get on the car. But I'll take it up, show you the wastegate, and then we'll bring it back down and we'll crack on with this. The other thing I've got to do is I need to make an inlet for this. Remember the other week I said, and it's got to come down and go over there, and out of aluminium, and that's going to be great for welding. And yeah, but yeah, I'll bring you in and show you this anyway. So yeah, this is what I've done. It actually welded up nicely, to be fair. This is the bellow from Turbo Zentrum, but it's from Lee, with the Fiesta from the track day last week. You didn't actually see it. You've seen a picture of the car anyway, but yeah, that's welded there. I had a little spout, if you remember me saying, put that on, welded that to that, V-band on the top, welded on the bottom, and then all I've done is, if you can see, it's not actually a bad bit of welding, if I do say so myself. Yeah, just literally scavenged it out of the... it didn't actually take long, to be fair, either. It took maybe an hour, half an hour, an hour. But yeah, just recirculates nicely back into the system. It's very close to the... Well, it's very close. It's touching the manifold there, but we should be all right. That's the AccuSump line, by the way, if anyone's wondering. It does go in there when it's... But I've got to clean it. It's got to come off today. So the other thing I want to show you was this bit, sandwich plate for the Merkle thermostatic sandwich plate, which is there. So we've got 2 lines coming off, and then they'll be going probably up through there, and then up straight onto the top of the engine there, and that's that. Bring the ramp down and we'll get on with designing some sort of thing for the oil cooler here. First thing I've got to do is pray that this doesn't have loads of oil in the lines, but it's definitely going to have oil in the lines. Anyway, that's not an issue. So, well, it is an issue if it pisses everywhere, but fingers crossed we don't have loads of oil. Let me get a tray. Wow, this is some nice black oil for the old rat's car. Nice. Right, so have I got any oil? Got any oil in it? Don't have any oil in it. Doesn't look like it has any oil in it. We're in luck. So we want to be going, as I was saying, think the best course of action is, this doesn't match the line, I might have to sort that. This is where I was saying we're going to go, so we're going from that sandwich plate, which is under here, round, bloody hell, perfecto. So, and then it's going to the underside of the oil cooler, which will be somewhere around here, which, that's pretty perfect actually. And the other one will just have to have a bit more of a bend in it, you know, like, because the other one's going to be here obviously. So yeah, we're good for line length. Both these are the same, I think. Are they the same length? Ooh. Oh, see. There we go. Answer to the question, yes, it has got oil in the lines. So, I don't have time for that. Oh, bloody hell. I'm going to put these back over here, 1 second. I've got some of this handy Aldi, little Aldi shop the other day. think it was like £3 or something. I just thought, I normally get it from your parts, but I just thought doing the weekly food shop. I seen it. It's not actually bad actually. Champagne. Nice thick engine oil. Just what I want. Get rid of that. So the plan with this is, let me get an oil cooler. The plan is, as I say, we're going somewhere here like this. I want to check it, how it is for clearance on the bonnet, so I'm going to shut the bonnet too. I don't know how. 1 minute. Always super professional here, obviously. We've got, if it works, then it, you know what I mean, it's holding it where I want it. So we're going to be roughly somewhere in this sort of vicinity. So now we want to shut this. I've not shut this yet. Does it clear? Does it clear? Bloody hell, lads. I mean, that's absolutely perfect. Let me show you. I've got this gimbal thing set to a real fast response, real twitchy, if you see what I mean. Right, so there we go. Obviously, it's going to be straight and central, but that's the idea. That's where it's going to be. I don't know if to bring it a little bit more so it's upright, but I suppose the airflow is going to be going down with that, so it's probably about right. But yeah, that's roughly where we're going to be going with it. So now we just want to make up these brackets. So yeah, first job on the cards. Obviously, it's going to be central, but can't really get it central on this little setup thing that I've got. So the first job on the cards is we're going to make these brackets that I was saying here. So it's going to go over to the vise and bend these 90 degrees, measure that distance there, make sure it's all right. Yeah, so should look alright that. I just need to, the lines as well, I need to, everything else is black in the engine bay, that's kind of the theme that's going on here. All the like black overbraid stuff. So I need to really change these two lines to overbraid as well, or at least put some sheathing over them. Do you know, some of that torque stuff. That might be the easiest option, in all honesty. But we'll get over to, well, you don't need to see me doing that anyway, but I'll bend those two brackets and I'll come back and these will be in place, and then we can mock up where we're going to be going with this stuff. So I'm going to do this the same as how I did that. Remember that little bracket that I had on the front? And I got the tube and I cut it at 45, well, about 30 degrees. I think that's going to look best. I did consider putting some bungs in the end. Do you know, just, they're going to, I don't think I can show you, but they're going to go like that, up about maybe, I don't know, 70 mil, and then slash cut forwards, so I can put an Allen key, so I can bolt this tube down, because it's going to have a washer welded, do you know, on the end with a hole in it. So that's going to go onto there, like so. Other one's going to go onto there, like so. And then from here, real simple, we're just going to have some of this welded from that spout going up to the side of that bracket. Same with there, going up to that side of that bracket. And that should hold it pretty firmly. It's not super heavy. I might put some other strengthening bits in, but that should be alright. So I've made them two little brackets there on the end, as I was saying, you know, the bits that I'm going to be welding these bits to. And then, wow, that's hot. I've just welded. Don't judge my welding. It's not going to be gas tight, but it's definitely penetrated. That's for sure. But it's penetrated all the way through into the thing. But basically, I've just cut a bit of that bar, like that I showed you, and then welded it to this other bar that we bought. I'm just going to cut this, and you won't be able to tell, it'll just look like a sealed end when I've got it on the sanding wheel. And then I'm just going to drill through in the centre for that M6 bolt that's going to go into there. So then that's going to give us one piece on there, and then another one on there, which is actually the bolt that bolts the coolant reservoir onto the top there. I'm going to sidetrack. For a change. 2 seconds. Coolant reservoir. That's what I was sidetracking for. The other day, I popped down and I just welded, not fantastically, but it is watertight. I just welded an AN6 adapter onto the old. This was the spout that used to feed the coolant to the turbo. Sorry, return the coolant from the turbo on the old setup here. But because I'm now down here, I'm running AN lines, so I just needed an AN return back to that reservoir there. So that's going to sit there, and then the bolt that holds I haven't crinkle coated the bottom yet, it's still on the other side of the country, but this bolt that holds the reservoir down is going to have to be a little bit longer because it's now going to bolt this and the reservoir down, if that makes sense. So I just wanted to show you that anyway. But it comes out really nicely, crinkle coat stuff. I'll put a picture in the here, do you know what it is? But I'll show you, I've got this in the position now that I wanted, but right. This is the little brackets that I've made. So it's basically all I've done is just cut a 90mm piece and then 18mm returns and just drilled some holes, put the bolts that came with it. Same on that end. I'm missing 2 bolts. But all it's going to have now is not this pipe, is that called? Not this pipe, obviously, but some of this pipe, if that makes sense. And it's just going to be, it'll go on that sort of fashion, and then go down and meet up to the back of this, and then it'll be welded on there like that. So I'll cut these off now. I just wanted to show you before I got too far ahead of myself, as usual. But I'll cut all these off, clean them all up, drill the holes out, and then we'll have these bolted into position there, and then we can measure up for the uprights. And then, yeah, easy job. Right, I'm back. There's a day's lapse in between, but, oh, camera's having a bit of a meltdown. Right, there's a day's lapse in between the last little bit that you've seen, but yeah, I went for some dinner yesterday and then had a rethink, on the oil cooler bracket. So the oil cooler mounting location, sorry. These are the little brackets that I made, to go in the end of each end of the oil cooler. I spent quite a bit of time on them actually as well. I did some rads on them and bent them and anyway. They're now scrap, and we've got a new location for the oil cooler. So I put the radiator in when I got back from dinner, and to measure up for the size of the fan, I'm putting a spal. It's going to be a 10-inch fan now, but I had to measure up to see what fan I could actually fit in that gap there. So I don't want to mess this jacket up. I measured up for the fan, and then whilst that was in, I put the intercooler back on, and then I seen a little gap, and I thought my oil cooler lines will fit in that little gap. I'll put a picture in the screen, but the oil cooler lines just come up in between the bottom plastic part of the radiator and the intercooler. There's like a gap, of about 2 inch, and I thought they'll fit perfectly as long as I've got clearance, on the bottom. So lo and behold, I put the splitter on, and I'll bring the camera in so you can see better in a minute, but I put the splitter on and I've got literally 2 mil of clearance underneath, with the oil cooler mounted in this location. So I thought, perfect, that's where that's going. I might even put a power steering fluid cooler on this side, maybe. I've got the line already. Anyway, we don't need to be thinking about that now, but I've got a feed for, when I originally made the bumper over there, I'll show you. 2 seconds. I thought it'd be easier to grab the camera, but here's the bumper. And when I originally made the bumper, it was on the old chassis, and I didn't have these brakes on, the K-Sports I've got on now. So I actually had to have these little brake cooling ducts here, and they sent, I've got the pipe up there somewhere, but they basically sent that pipe that got along the wall there, I don't know if you can see. Those pipes went to some little brackets that went to the back of the hubs in there, and yeah, they were the brake cooling ducts. But I've not needed them on this setup up to now. So the oil cooler here, I'll throw it on for you, but the oil cooler sits directly behind that duct. So basically it's feeding it cold air. And going a little bit deeper into it, let me just put you back on here. Going a little bit deeper into it. Ooh, I'll kick the camera over. We had actually overcooling an issue. A lot of people said to me, is that oil cooler big enough? And we were actually overcooling the oil last year with it in this location here. So I'm thinking by restricting the airflow down to sort of 2 inch, in the centre, it might be actually better, but we'll see. I might have to put a bit more duct in, maybe duct this one into it and see. But up to now, that's where it's going. So yeah, that's the other thing I wanted to do. I wanted to do a little plug for these jumpers and apparel. That's the brand Lucavani, if that's how you pronounce it. Probably pronounce it with a bit more of a twang to it, but they've been kind enough to send me one of their hoodies, and I'm pretty impressed. Minus the dog hair, obviously. This is we've managed to keep as much dog hair off it as possible. But yeah, it's I don't know if you can pick it up on the camera, but they're really nice quality. Yeah, just thought I'd mention it. Go and have a look if you want. They're on Instagram. I'll put the link thing down in the description. But yeah, back onto this. I'll throw the bumper on for you now, and then you can see how it looks with it on. So that's where it is placement wise. There we've got obviously the intercooler sitting on top of it, but the intercooler comes flush to here. You've seen how that goes. But that's what I was talking about in terms of the little duct thing. I think it points quite nicely. I might have to maybe put a bit of ducting on the back of it. To feed it into it a bit, and then maybe utilise that side as well, and bring that into it. But there's plenty of room under there to mess about at a later date if we run into issues. I'll just throw that in the van, throw that ducting in the van, for the test days. But yeah, the next thing we're going to go on to today, let me put the camera back. Yeah, the next thing we're going to go on to is wiring. Now, it's pretty boring, to be honest. I'm not going to start videoing, should I say, all the wiring I'm doing, but I'll explain it, go through a bit of it briefly. So I've put the extension for the remote oil cooler. I've really only done that to limit the vibrations on the oil pressure sensor, because it's not a solid state unit. It's still a normal sensor, so to speak. It's still got moving components inside it. So I've put it on a little rubber mount, so it takes a little bit of the vibrations away from the engine and hopefully lets the pressure sensor last a little bit longer. So that's a pretty generic thing for Subaru owners to do. It's more for mounting, for a standard sort of setup. So yeah, that's all in place. That goes, it's 1/8 BSPT, which is British standard pipe thread. A little adapter that goes to 1/8 MPT, and then we go, I don't know what diameter line it is, but it's a PTFE line, going back to 1/8 MPT, and then a little billet Fuji Motorsport. I showed you the other day anyway. And then we've got the standard oil pressure sender unit for the oil light on the dash. I don't actually need it, but I spent a bit of time wiring it into that aftermarket dash, so I might as well use it. And then the pressure sender unit into the side, which is 1/8 MPT. The other thing we've got is a temp sensor at the back here, which is 1/8 MPT straight to the block on a little adapter, the standard Subaru adapter. No, tell a lie, it's a 1/8 MPT to M18 adapter because the standard adapter is BSPT because that's where I'm blabbing, but that's where the stock oil pressure sender unit goes in the back there, and that's 1/8 BSPT, yeah, that's right. So the adapter that went into the block at the back there has moved to this front location, and in the back there I've got a M18 to 1/8 MPT adapter with just a standard resistor based, single wire, single or two wire sensor for the temperature. So we've got to wire that one into the ECU, and that's going to be, that is, the ECU controls the pull up already, so we don't need to put a reference, power, like a supply voltage to it. The Cybix has got a 3K pull-up resistor and a 5V reference feed built onto so many of its, I think 4 of its inputs, so you can use that type of sensor. So we've got that one to wire in. Yesterday I rewired my original MAF wiring. In your original 5-wire MAF wiring, you've got 2 wires that are for temperature, and then the others are for, I'm trying to think what the other ones are for. One's for MAF, probably ground and power maybe, I don't know, don't hold me to that. But I had to just shorten the wiring a little bit, and then I also, which goes to my intake air temp sensor on the back of the boost pipe there. It was real long from when Andy Carr did it back in the day, but I shortened it because you didn't need that one. And it's lighter. Sergio liked me for that. So, yeah, I did that, and then I've also figured out that the MAF wire, which is this little yellow wire with a green chaser, that actually feeds back to the ECU to the exact location that I want for the input wire from the fuel pressure sensor. That's how I'm going into the ECU with it. So we can utilise that, but we've got the fuel pressure sensor, which is the same sensor as this. I'll show you that setup. One sec. We've just got a little T like that, if you can see. Little T piece. Pressure sensor there, sender unit, 3-wire, actually 12-volt power these. 12-volt power, ground, 5-volt output, nice and simple. Then we've got some PTFE to put on that as well, actually. But then we've just got the SideTech gauge just for setting the static fuel pressure, just so we've got a mechanical gauge under the bonnet. But I've just got an MPT elbow coming for that piece to go into the front of the fuel pressure regulator because I realised I was limited to space the other day. I'll show you it in the bay anyway. So I've got the feet on this camera all getting in the way. Sorry, that's the fuel pressure regulator there. So you can see we're pretty limited in terms of space, but this is going to go like so. So we've just got a little elbow coming, a little 1/8 MPT elbow. I might point it up a little bit like that, so I can see a bit better. But got elbow coming for that. So I'm going to do the wiring for that today. So power, ground, and signal wire back to the ECU. I'll show you where I'm getting power and ground from. And I've also ordered an air filter for this because the scrutineer's picked up on it. It's not allowed to do that, apparently. It's the oil catch can, so that's got to have a little filter on it. So I have had them in the past, but then Ram Air ones fall to bits. That's not a diss to, it is a little diss to Ram Air, but yeah, the little foam ones, you know which ones I mean. They get, it must be the fuel that I'm using, but it falls off the top of it. So yeah, I got another one, like probably even more Chinese one, I think, off eBay, but I'll show you when it comes. It's like a plasticky metal thing, but might last a bit longer. Yeah, so what else? Oil pressure. This we've got to feed I'll show you that up a bit closer. So we've got to feed they're basically exactly the same as the fuel pressure one. So power, ground, and signal back to the ECU. So 1, 2, 3, back to the ECU, and what else we've got to put another temperature sensor in the block to go to my dash for an independent reading. So that's already scaled, and it's got the reference voltage wire, so that's literally just a single wire coming through from the dash. It used to go to the old gauges, which McGee's got now. I sold them to my mate. So the last bit, it's been a bit all over what I'm saying now, but last bit, Mac solenoid there, it used to be plumbed for, obviously for an internally gated turbo. So it used to have this port and this port were the other way around. I won't go into how it's plumbed. If you want to, there's loads on Google, honestly. So yeah, anyway, we had to, this was originally over there. I screwed into that LL there. So we had to move that and rewire it, and I put some nice braided wire on there. And then just swap the plumbing round. I've still don't know what I'm going to do with this yet. I might do it in hardline, or I might do it in AN, or I don't know. But we'll see. As I said, I forgot to ask Aaron, to make me up in AN3 or AN4, because yeah, you overlook these things. But yeah, so I'll go and grab the other part. Actually, I think where it is. There it is. So this is the cabinet full of goodies. Everything's in here. But yeah, we've got like a little connector block that I got. This is for the Cyvex ECU. I don't know why I got two, but I've got two. So it's called a 5557 connector. Sound. But anyway, this is for supplying, there's loads of other things to it, but it's for supplying the 12 volt voltage to the sensors and the earth as well, sensor earth. So this just plugs into the back of the ECU. And actually I've got the ECU, so I'll show you. There we go, upside down. That's the ECU. It's just in the stock casing, and the motherboard's obviously inside. But we've got here, this is the auxiliary out plug. So there's all your generic Subaru. It's a Cyvex plug and play, Cyvex S6 plug and play. So there's all your generic Subaru, plugs, and then you've got your wideband in. You've got a K-type thermocouple, for doing your EGTs direct onto the board, and then these ones are for Ethernet for communication to the laptop, and your other comms is for, not sure, maybe for CAN, I don't know. But anyway, this is the one that we're going to be using. So pins, I'll put a pin out on the screen now, but pins 9, 8 and 9 maybe. 8 is for 5 volt reference signal.
So fucking close.
And 9's for 12 volt reference signal, I believe. And 10 might be for earth. But anyway, that's what we're going to be plugging this into, straight into there. And then obviously pinning out the supply signals for the fuel pressure, for the oil pressure, and that's it, just those two. Because the temperature's already got its own reference signal built into the signal wire. So yeah, that's it I think. I'll stop rambling, and that's what we're going to be doing today. I'll put some pictures in the screen of the connector plugs when they're wired up and stuff. But other than that, we're just waiting for the AN lines and stuff now to come from Aaron at APV. So when they arrive, we can plumb everything up. Radiator can go in. It can all be built back up then. Exhaust in the car, because I'm going to heat wrap that at home. Yeah, we're about there. So yeah, that'll do for this video. As I say, I'll put a few pictures of that in the screen, me doing that, and then we'll catch up on the next video. Might be a bit closer to firing her up.